Hey there guys, Next Gen Striker here, back again for another video, and well, like I alluded to in the last video, depending on how I release these in order, but the last video I recorded was the greatest DC animated film of all time, and with the greatest, there also comes the worst, or the least best if you're trying to be super optimistic and positive, but you guys know me, I'm very vocal and opinionated, and there's some films that I just do not like from DC, and there's got to be a worst one. I feel like everyone has that, and everyone's opinion is going to be different. I'm going to emphasize that again. We're all going to have different opinions, so just keep that in mind. But to me, this one was actually more difficult to determine than the greatest DC animated film because for me, if you guys didn't already see the video, Batman Beyond: Return of the Joker, just stood out to me as like the best one. It was just so good, and I've rewatched it a million times, and I still really like it. But the worst film, I mean, there's some films that I've seen where I'm like, ugh, this is really not DC's best work. And, I had to actually look through a list and think to myself, what is the worst DC animated film? And I will say, while there were some in the early days that I didn't necessarily like, so we're talking Justice League The New Frontier, Batman Gotham Knight, I wasn't a big fan of either one of those, but I feel like those were just kind of average. With Gotham Knight, it was so weird because it was basically just 6 episodes that were animated and not even really a movie. The fact that they called it a movie to me is just still, I'm like, why would you call that a movie? But those two films I don't feel like clarify or count as the worst. And The New Frontier, I know a lot of people do actually like that movie. So, I mean, don't start a flame war in the comment section. It just wasn't for me, okay? But if we look further into the more recent DC films, which I've said this before, they're not on par with the older ones. I mean, we're talking everything up to The Dark Knight Returns Part 2, to me, had that quality seal where it might not have been maybe the best DC animated film, but it was still like, oh, maybe it's like a 7 out of 10 or something like that. It's still good. It might have some problems. Yeah, it might not be perfect, but it's still good. It's still enjoyable, and I can't wait for the next one. And then when they started going off New 52 stuff, it's like, oh, we're dipping down in quality quite a bit. So for me to really look at these, it's between two films. So I'll go with the runner-up first. Give that honorary little stamp of approval, disapproval. So the second, and this is the second from the worst animated film to me, is Justice League: Throne of Atlantis. This film to me was just so unbearably bad. When I watched this film, I remember watching this film, I was like, good God, this is the worst DC animated film ever. I can't even stand this movie. I mean, Justice League War was so average, and then to follow up with this and make it even worse, I was just thinking to myself, just why, DC? Why? Why do you do this? It's the introduction to Aquaman into the Justice League, and it should have been a great thing because the Aquaman comics at the time were really good. So, and the comic story that it was based on was pretty well received by fans too at the time, the Throne of Atlantis storyline. So it's so weird that this film would turn out bad because all they had to do was base it off that source and it would be great. But see, the problem is, and they do this a lot with modern DC films, they say, okay, we're going to take 3 different source materials and we're going to cram them all together. And then it's just going to be great, right? And it's not great. It turns out terrible. And for some odd reason, every film to me that the Justice League is in these New 52 based films are always the worst. Like if it's got Justice League characters in it, you can guarantee I hate this movie. Like, what was it? Justice League Dark. I did not like that movie either. I know people like that movie. I did not like that movie at all. Just really anything with Justice League. Justice League versus Teen Titans, didn't like that either. Of course, Damian was partly to blame for that because he's so ridiculous, and some people will agree with me. Like, Damian's just way too overpowered in these movies. It's crazy. But having said that, Throne of Atlantis, it was a mesh of the origin of Aquaman with this Throne of Atlantis storyline, Justice League, plus they're doing this Superman and Wonder Woman romance thing, and it's just like, it's too much, and the animation was bad, and the story was bad, and the action was just not that great, and ultimately it just led to a climax where I just did not care. But having said that, I think I've prepared you guys enough. The absolute worst DC animated film by far is Batman and Harley Quinn. Like, there's no contest with this one. This movie's just straight up bad. which is so mind-blowing to me because it's kind of like a Batman the Animated Series episode, which I love the designs. It's like, okay, the art, I'm liking it for the most part. It looks a little bit lower quality than the Batman animated series and stuff like that, which is kind of odd, right? It's like the same art, but it's worse. So yeah, the quality was down a little bit to me, though I did like Nightwing's new design because he got rid of the mullet. But aside from that, like I wanted to like this movie because I mean it's got Kevin Conroy back and it's got the voice actor of Nightwing back and it's got a different Harley Quinn, but that really wouldn't have made that big of a difference. I mean, yeah, we all like Tara Strong, but I mean, if it's a good film, it's still going to be a good movie. This film was not a good movie. This film was like insultingly bad. I cannot believe that they even did this movie. Like they're trying to make this like some sort of comedic, oh, Harley Quinn, she's so wishy-washy and she's so funny and we're going to go to this bar and they're going to have all these superhero themed waitresses that look like strippers and it's just ridiculous. Like just some of the stuff they do in this movie, I look at it and I'm just like, why did they do this? There's a scene where, I mean, you know it's bad when they do like fart jokes in a DC film that's intended for older people, you know, like teenagers and up, because, you know, language, violence, like obviously it's meant for an older age, right? But it's so bad. I mean, why would they make jokes like that? They have the whole singing bit with Harley Quinn, which was just beyond cringy. Like when I watched that, I'm like, oh God, let this end, please, please. And then they did the whole thing with the, oh gosh, I can't even remember the villain's name. It wasn't Swamp Thing, but it was some other guy that was almost like him, and then Poison Ivy and this whole take over the world with plants thing. Like, it's a dumb premise. Like, why would they have them do this whole Captain Planet villainous theme for this? It's not even taking itself serious at all at the very beginning, which is it's difficult because it's like you're doing Batman the Animated Series, but it's not actually serious and it's not actually well written and it's not good at all. I mean, if you look back on this film, I don't see anything I can even look back to except that, well, Nightwing had a cool design. I mean, I guess that was cool. Other than that, it's like, really? Why? I mean, Nightwing, jeez. So this is a thing with DC animated films I really don't like, but Nightwing takes the L again in this movie, but he ends up getting a W in a different way that people did not like, and I can totally understand why, because they have a Nightwing and Harley Quinn sex scene, and it's just like, why? What? I don't even understand that. It's so weird. I mean, they did this with Batman and Batgirl in The Killing Joke, which a lot of people didn't like. I personally didn't really care that much. I was like, whatever. But a lot of people were really bothered by that. But this was just so weird. Like, Nightwing and Harley Quinn, really? It's just such a weird combo, right? I mean, okay, she's good looking, but she's freaking crazy, man. You fought her a million times. You know this. It's just, oh man, it's so crazy. And the weird thing is she knew him when he was a boy wonder. But if it's the animated series, it's like, yeah, Dick Grayson was Robin, I guess, when he was younger, but he was in college when the animated series was a thing. So I don't really know how all that works, but whatever. It's weird. Okay, it's just not something people like. I don't really think I need to justify why people don't like it. It's just weird. But yeah, I don't understand the whole anything about this movie. Why? Why even make a movie about Batman and Harley Quinn? Why? Like, okay, Batman and Harley Quinn, they had great moments in the animated series. Harley Quinn makes for some great stuff, but why would you make a movie called Batman and Harley Quinn to begin with? I just don't understand. Why? Why would they do this? I don't get it. What were they trying to achieve? Harley Quinn's a popular character, Batman's a popular character, let's throw them together? Like, why? This film just makes me ask questions that I should not have to ask when I'm trying to watch an animated film. I don't get it. What were they trying to accomplish? Just having a fun little Harley road trip with some really, like, elementary level jokes that even at that level aren't good. Like, kids' movies have better jokes and they're intended for kids than this film had, and it's intended for older audiences. So, I mean, I don't really know what else to say other than that. Like, it was just bad. It was just bad. I don't care about the story, characters, none of it. It sucked. So, not rewatchable. I mean, honestly, it was a chore to sit through this. And I think Didn't they have this movie in theaters? I feel like they did. Gosh, man, I feel bad for whoever saw this in theaters, man. Whew, rough. So anyway, that is all I had for this video. Be sure to tell me your thoughts on Batman Harley Quinn, or just heck, your worst DC animated film ever. I mean, unfortunately, there's a few contenders, so let me know your thoughts and why you think that. That's all I had for now. Hope you guys enjoyed. Thumbs up if you like, subscribe if you liked, and I'll catch you guys later.